So insert the hook on the right hand side from the front to the back, and then from the back to the front on the left hand side of the stitch. So it's completely underneath the top of the stitches and it's around the post. So yarn over and pull through, and then complete the stitch in the normal way. So yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops again. So there's the completed row, and I don't know if you can see, but the front post stitches are sitting a little proud of the work because the stitch is actually sitting to the front, which is why it's called a front post. So it's coming from the front of the post of the stitch. So now I'll show you how to make a back post stitch, and then I'll show you the next row, which will be front post stitches again, just because you'll be able to see a little clearly where they're coming from when this row below is a different colour. For the raised lines section, where there's 2 stitches that I need to show you. The first of which is a front post double treble, and then I'll show you the back post double treble. So for a double treble we need 2 wraps around the hook before we start. So the difference between this and a normal treble is where the hook is placed to make the stitch. So normally you would work into a stitch, but when you're working around the post you need to work into the section below. So for a front post one, we need to start with the hook at the front and we insert it to the side of the stitch. So it goes right through to the back, and then it needs to come through to the front again on the other side of the stitch. So it's completely underneath the stitch where you would normally work, and it's around this post, which is the bit below the top of the V stitches at the top. So once we've got the hook in the right place, we just complete a double treble as we normally would. So we wrap the yarn over and bring it back around this post, and then yarn over and bring through 2 loops on the hook, once, twice and 3 times. So that means the stitch is coming from the post rather than from the top of the stitch. The next stitch is to make 3 trebles into the next double crochet. So I'll show you again. So we wrap round twice because it's a double crochet. The reason it's a double crochet and these ones are trebles, because where you're working below the stitch you need a little extra length on the stitch for it to come up to the same height. So there's my 2 wraps around the hook. So now we're ready to work the second row of this pattern. For this row the back of the work is facing us, and because we want our raised lines to appear at the front we need to work a back post, and that will make the stitch appear raised at the front of our work when we turn over to the right side again. So for this one we need to, again it's a double treble stitch that we'll be making, and the difference is just where we're placing the hook. So for a back post crochet we need the hook to start at the back, and we bring it in behind the stitch that we want to work around. So this is the stitch normally we'd be working into here to the top of the stitch, but we want to work around the post which is down below here. So we need to bring it to the right hand side. So it's from the back to the front on the right, and then return the hook back through on the left of the stitch. So it looks like that. Here's the post and our hook is around the post. So we're going to yarn over and draw that hook back around the post, and then we can complete the stitch in the normal way. So yarn over and through 2 loops 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. So now you can see the stitch is disappearing behind the stitch, so at the back of the work. So that's why it's a back post treble, because the stitch is coming from the back of the work and not the front of the work. So you can just see a little loop where the yarn's been brought around the stitch. So I'll do that again for you. So we're ready to make another back post treble, double treble, sorry. So yarn over twice, take the hook to the back of the work, bring it through to the front on the right hand side of the stitch, take it through to the back again on the left hand side of the stitch. So the post is on the hook, yarn over, draw the yarn all the way around, back around that post, yarn over, through 2 loops, once, twice, 3 times. So there's the back post stitches sitting behind our normal stitches. So there's our completed second row, and that's the back of the work still. And so you can just see these back post stitches disappearing behind the work there, and we can just see the loops where they've gone, the yarn's gone around the post. And so if we turn back to the front, you can see how the stitch, the normal trebles are worked into the stitch, and this post trebles is worked around the post of the stitch. So because we made these ones behind the work when we're on the wrong side, when we turn to the right side, they appear to the front of the book. And I'll just show you the front post double treble again. Now we're working around a treble stitch. So we yarn over twice to make a double crochet, and then for a front post treble, we insert the hook from the front on the right hand side of the post to the back, and then on the left hand side we go to the front of the work again. So it's the post that's on the hook, and we yarn over, pull through, and then complete the double treble. And there you can see the stitch sitting at the front of the work. So as you start to make the raised lines, it becomes easier to tell whether you're working a front post or back post treble. And as you can see, the stitches are starting to line up now and create these sort of raised lines in the fabric. So where each stitch is worked around the post, it's pushing them forward to create another sort of texture for our blanket.